There was a time when the whole earth seemed lulled by tranquility and prosperity. Hidden riches were discovered and generously shared with the needy, heralding an era of well-being devoid of any distress, under the auspices of a universal vision of Islam. In this idyllic world, equality and happiness were the daily destiny of all. But this period of splendor was doomed to end. Hidden in the depths of the earth, a formidable threat loomed. Its hour ready to emerge was a matter of time. The hordes of Yajuj and Majuj, a harbinger of the apocalypse according to Islamic beliefs. But where were they hiding? Currently, scholars have attempted to unveil their mystery, a secret buried in the twists and turns of time and the stories of generations. We find ourselves immersed in a time when Dhul Qarnayn, one of the most illustrious monarchs to ever tread this earth, still traveled the world. Famous for his legendary expeditions from north to south and from east to west, he left an indelible mark on history, rising to the rank of one of the four great sovereigns. The stories of his captivating journeys continue to fascinate us to this day. But among all his travels, one stands out, recounted in the Quran for its extraordinary career, a quest that paved the way for freedom and unprecedented abundance for humanity. This journey took him through what is now known as Kyrgyzstan, crossing mountains, valleys, and cities, bringing together a multitude of peoples and creatures, thus accomplishing one of the most important missions of his existence. However, one of these journeys, mentioned in our sacred Quran, was the scene of extraordinary circumstances that could explain why humans today can move freely and access what we want. During this journey, Dhul Qarnayn found himself in what is now the territory of Kyrgyzstan, crossing plains, mountains, and cities, meeting various human communities and many creatures, thus making one of his most significant journeys. He continued his way between two mountains when he encountered a fascinating tribe. This tribe faced a great problem. They were tormented by a wild community living in the mountains, sowing disorder and posing a serious threat to them. The tribe asked for help, complaining about the misdeeds of this community. These beings, known as GOG and MAGOG, are mentioned in Surah Al-Kahf of the Quran. According to the Hadiths, although GOG and MAGOG are human beings, they have certain distinctive physical characteristics that set them apart. Dhul Qarnayn, upon hearing the tribe's pleas, decided to help them. But how did he do it? What measures did he take to protect humanity from this threat? The story of his intervention and the actions he took have become a fundamental part of our history and faith, always reminding us of the importance of justice, protection, and divine intervention in times of extreme need. After the flood, humans and animals began to repopulate the earth, and during this period, GOG and MAGOG appeared. We know they descend from Japheth, one of the sons of Prophet Noah. Some theories suggest they could be ancestors of the Chinese, although this theory could be refuted. They are divided into three distinct groups according to their size. Some are large, others of medium size, and there is a group with ears so large they can use them as pillows. They will appear before the day of judgment, and we know they will destroy humanity, indicating they are wild creatures. Their flat faces and small eyes, as well as the geography associated with them, suggest a possible link to the Mongols, but more information about them will be revealed in the future. First, let's examine how the people who sought help from Dhul Qarnayn were saved from the invasion and corruption of GOG and MAGOG. The people begged him, "Please help us build a barrier between us and GOG and MAGOG to protect us. Ask for whatever you wish in return." GOG and MAGOG are described as perpetrators of trouble and will cause immense harm on earth. Dhul Qarnayn, seeing the distress of the people, agreed to help them without asking for compensation. "You do not need to pay me. What you can offer is insignificant compared to what my Lord has granted me. Help me with your human strength so that I can build a strong barrier. Bring me as many iron blocks as possible." The community got to work, collecting and bringing Dhul Qarnayn as much iron as they could. Dhul Qarnayn filled the space between two mountains with this iron, raising it to a uniform height. He then asked for molten copper, saying, "Bring it so I can pour it over the iron barrier." When everything was ready, he ordered to blow on the copper and iron, thus completing the construction of the barrier. Thus, Dhul-Qarnayn erected a barrier between the peoples and tribes of GOG and MAGOG, a barrier that only divine power could destroy or overcome. This illustrious story not only highlights the wisdom and strength of Dhul-Qarnayn, but also his willingness to help others without expecting material rewards in return, relying solely on divine assistance and the cooperation of the people. Despite their destructive nature, GOG and MAGOG are contained, demonstrating the possibility of overcoming even the greatest threats through faith and unity. This story, rich in teachings, continues to inspire us with its message of hope, faith, and collaboration in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. Dhul-Qarnayn said, "This barrier is a mercy from my Lord. An impenetrable barrier was raised between us and the wild and devastating tribes of GOG and MAGOG, destined to remain closed until the day of judgment." But is this really the end for GOG and MAGOG? Of course not. They continue to multiply in their confinement. There is talk of such multiplication that, according to some estimates, an individual of GOG and MAGOG does not die without leaving behind at least 1,000 offspring. Imagine the threat this poses, knowing that each person can beget 1,000 children from almost a millennium ago to our present days. How is it possible for a person to give birth to so many children? Only God knows the truth, but longevity has been passed down to this day. Accounts, including those of Prophet Noah, tell us that many figures live between 900 and 1,000 years. Over time, life expectancy has decreased to our era. If the tribes of GOG and MAGOG also live long lives and constantly multiply, it seems possible for each of them to leave behind 1,000 children. The number of GOG and MAGOG tribes far exceeds the current human population. They continue to dig every day to emerge to the surface. But what will happen if GOG and MAGOG manage to escape their confinement? This is a significant threat to much of the human population. The release of GOG and MAGOG would be a catastrophic event. According to Islamic teachings, faith, preparedness, and unity are essential to face and overcome such challenges. Before continuing, let's explore where the barrier built by Dhul-Qarnayn could be located using current means. According to hadiths and transmitted accounts, the location near the border of Uzbekistan could be considered Dhul-Qarnayn's wall. This is only a theory. The surface of this place, which looks like a flat wall built between two mountains, is covered with snow. It is believed that GOG and MAGOG may have been self-confined here. Rumors suggest that iron alloys and various tools found nearby indicate large spaces behind the wall, making this place famous as Dhul-Qarnayn's wall. Only God knows the truth, and even if we were to locate GOG and MAGOG's wall today, no human force could reveal it before its time. It is important to consider these theories when judging the idea that GOG and MAGOG could be the Chinese or another nation currently living on Earth. The Hadiths already provide us with answers to this question. We know they dig the earth every day. How could we attribute this to a specific nation? The idea that the Chinese or even the Great Wall of China are associated with GOG and MAGOG, and that they will continue their emergence by defeating the rest of the world is not coherent. The Chinese are already present worldwide and are not breaking through the Great Wall. Now we come to a dark moment, the moment when the wall will be breached. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned a time of great abundance and peace in the world before the appearance of GOG and MAGOG. We are in a future period known only to God, but we have already experienced some of the great events foretold, such as the World War, which precedes the appearance of GOG and MAGOG. This is the greatest challenge humanity will face, confronting the Dajjal, who will sow chaos across the planet, and then facing the tribes of GOG and MAGOG. These tribes have been tirelessly digging every day for millennia, and the day will finally come when they will manage to reach the surface. So far, every night they said, "It's enough for today, we will continue tomorrow." But when they resumed the next day, it seemed they had never made progress. However, this time they will manage to break through the surface. What will finally allow them to open this hole that has remained closed for years? The secret lies in words that have never been uttered by GOG and MAGOG until today. As always, when they stop digging the day before, this time one of them will say, "It's enough for today. If God wills, we will continue where we left off tomorrow." The use of the term, "if God wills," will be the key to their emergence. As we know, the tribes of GOG and MAGOG are an unbelieving nation. According to tradition, the prophet, before his ascension, visited GOG and MAGOG and invited these tribes to Islam, but they refused to believe. When the day comes when they say, "If God wills," the wall of Dhul-Qarnayn will fall, and the tribes of GOG and MAGOG will spread across the land, destroying everything in their path, drying up all water sources they discover, and causing so many deaths that very few humans will survive. Only those who manage to hide in secure shelters will survive. When GOG and MAGOG have devastated the entire earth, they will think they have killed everyone and destroyed the world, believing that no one can resist their power. But what they do not know is that survivors will remain, and Prophet Jesus will be among them. The survivors will seek help from the prophet. Jesus prays to God for the extermination of GOG and MAGOG. Then, God sends a disease manifested by worms or bacteria that kills all members of GOG and MAGOG in one night, like a plague of locusts. During this massive death, the earth faces a scene where the air becomes unbreathable due to the smell of the bodies of GOG and MAGOG. Prophet Jesus prays again, and God sends rain that cleanses the earth. The corpses and the odor of GOG and MAGOG will be completely wiped from the surface of the earth because their place is already reserved in hell. The survivors will come out of their hiding places to start living again. But why couldn't anyone use their strength against GOG and MAGOG? With our technology and our weapons, how could these creatures of flesh cause such destruction? Only God knows the answer. But according to traditions, this future period could be a time when technological devices do not work, and there is not even electricity. Let us remember the quote from the famous scientist Albert Einstein. "I do not know with what weapons World War II will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones." The emergence of GOG and MAGOG signals that several of the major signs announcing the end of times have already been fulfilled, and there is not much time left. Another awaited sign is the appearance of the land creature, DABBAT al-ARD. Contrary to popular belief, DABBAT al-ARD is not just a creature that will emerge from the earth to harm people. DABBAT al-ARD literally means the creature of the earth, and according to traditions, it will emerge near the Kaaba at a time when people act unjustly. This period will be a time of great trial and tribulation for humanity. The appearance of DABBAT al-ARD will be a clear sign that the end of times is near, and it will remind us of the importance of faith and justice. Believers must stand firm and united, trusting in divine guidance to overcome the adversities ahead. The story of GOG and MAGOG and the signs of the end of times invite us to reflect on our own spiritual preparedness and our relationship with God. Are we ready to face the challenges that will come? Are we living our lives according to the principles of justice and faith? These questions are crucial as we approach the prophesied events in our scriptures. The creature DABBAT al-ARD will appear from a crack in Mount Safa. This creature will appear more animal than human, but it will have the ability to speak. Its goal will be to mark each person, equipped with an extraordinarily fast movement capability that will prevent anyone from escaping or reaching it. DABBAT al-ARD will carry with it the ring of Prophet Solomon and the staff of Prophet Moses. It will first address the people, warning the unbelievers. When the word falls upon them, we will bring out for them a creature of the earth to speak to them, because the people were not convinced by our signs. With the staff, DABBAT al-ARD will illuminate the faces of the believers, and with Solomon's ring, it will mark the foreheads of the unbelievers. By looking at someone's face, we will immediately know if they are believers or unbelievers. This event will be closely followed by another great sign, the rising of the sun from the west, indicating that time is extremely limited. These stories, drawn from traditions and interpretations of sacred texts, offer a glimpse into what many believe are the events that will precede the end of times. They serve as a reminder of belief in a cosmic order guided by divine power and highlight the importance of faith and moral actions in the lives of believers.